Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Sometimes the best way to find a living is to stay right where you are and study with UAS online. Career-specific distance programs from the University of Alaska Southeast are the fastest way to increase your earning power.
We connect all over the world.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks again for joining us for this Sunday's edition of Alaska Weather. Up first here on the warning chart, still have some high fire danger warnings out for the Susitna Valley this evening. Gusty north-northeast winds, 10 to 20 miles per hour, and dry conditions there, keeping that extreme fire danger going this evening. And also along the lower Kuskokwim into the delta there, northeast winds 15 to 20, 25, in some cases gusting to 30 miles an hour, now blowing down almost all the way to the coastline this afternoon. And moving on to the fire danger map, again extreme in the Susitna Valley and a swath back out through here down into the Kuskokwim Yukon Delta areas and a little bit up there around the Fairbanks area. Otherwise high fire danger in the more orange shaded zone. And moving on to satellite imagery, again big area high pressure out here making for a sunny, in some cases hot afternoon here over the southwest interior up into the Seward Peninsula, actually all the way to the western Arctic coast. Clouds here to the east with some showers developing early on, actually increasing here throughout the afternoon as an upper level trough right through this area is backing west and a little to the southwest into the area, so that's helping to kick off the showers and thunderstorms currently going on here across the, well, from the Copper River Basin into the Susitna Valley and on down into the Kenai Peninsula. And over here over the Panhandle, a lot of clouds and showers with moisture spilling into the northeast part of the Panhandle there. And otherwise, a pretty good day, kind of windy and cool up along the Arctic coast on the east side. Winds 15 to 30 miles an hour up there and gusty, keeping temperatures down into the lower 30s this afternoon, while the west side breezy, but temperatures into the 60s and lower 70s. And you can see pretty good conditions there, the low clouds clearing out of around Kodiak Island and Bristol Bay in the Alaska Peninsula. And then the next weather system out here bringing some rain into the central Aleutians, rain and fog from about Atco west there to Nikulski. Shemya socked in with a quarter mile in fog this afternoon. Otherwise, sunny skies here and again warm temperatures and increasing northeast winds over the southwest interior. And sunny skies all the way up and across the north slope, and in most cases kind of some low clouds up there along the eastern Arctic coast, but generally no dense fog reported up there. You have some moisture here again spilling into the Panhandle, bringing that unnatural weather from Canada across the border this afternoon. That's going to kind of increase the showers this evening down in that area. Thunderstorms developing over the eastern interior, Copper River Basin mostly, scattered up over the Northway area, and also from Turnagain Arm on down into the Kenai Peninsula. Scattered thunderstorms over the Susitna Valley with showers here as they all is kind of progressing west into the southwest with high pressure and light winds here along the coast. This area low clouds earlier today in over the Bethel area and the Kuskokwim Delta. That's all burned off and blown back out to sea here with fog extending from Cape Newinam to Nunivak Island back up into the northern Bering Sea. But another clear day with VFR flying around St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait and into the Chukchi Basin. For tonight, that storm increases the wind and rain and shifts it eastward there, reaching about Nikulski late tonight. Generally cloudy, but with increasing southeast winds there from the western Alaska Peninsula over to Unalaska Island, and then less wind and rain back out to the west on the western side of that low center. Lots of low clouds and fog here through the Bering Strait and the Chukchi Sea, kind of covering just about all of the Bering Sea tonight. Still that offshore flow will keep it VFR, probably off the coast or near it, right up into the Bering Strait there. So mild conditions and clear skies here from northern Bristol Bay northward and eastward across the northern interior. Showers starting to scatter out now. The main area slipping on down to the southwest over the southern Kenai Peninsula across southern Cook Inlet in toward Iliamna Lake and the southern Alaska Range here, maybe down toward Kodiak Island. Scattered showers over the eastern Alaska Range, northeast Copper River Basin. Generally cloudy but dry from the North Gulf Coast, and showers tending to diminish after midnight, after this evening. Probably be most numerous there, and then may even break out there to the south as this system approaches the area. By tomorrow afternoon, look for increasing chances of rain on the west side of Prince of Wales Island, probably holding off until early tomorrow evening. But high pressure here, still some lingering showers over the northern areas and over along the border with, again, developing showers and isolated thunderstorms up over the northeast Copper River Basin and 40-mile country, and then a much more widespread area of shower activity going on here, mostly western Cook Inlet down to Shelikof Strait, back across the northern coast of Bristol Bay out to the Kilbrook Mountains, and into portions of the Kuskokwim Valley. To the north, lots of sunshine, clear skies, and mild temperatures again, and that'll include the northern Yukon Delta. Pretty good day, St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait. Another sunny day with warm temperatures to the Seward Peninsula. And again, all the way up across the North Slope and the Arctic coast, looking really good. Otherwise, we've got gale force winds with that low center pushing from the central Aleutians right into the Unalaska area, Nikolsky and Dutch Harbor. Look for rain, fog, gusty southeast winds, 45 to possibly 50 miles an hour, and scattered showers for the Alaska Peninsula. And taking a look ahead to Tuesday, that front kind of elongates out here and weakens. Keep it wet over the Pribilof Islands with pretty brisk easterly winds right on down across the Alaska Peninsula. Periods of rain and windy conditions, Kodiak Island included, with that easterly flow there, keeping the moisture in the area, and then breaking out some showers off to the west. The next system here slowly moving, rain spreading northward tomorrow night across the southern and central southeast coast. Now it'll be spreading up to just about northern Lynn Canal there on Tuesday, but possibly staying to the east of Yakutat. So variable clouds here for the North Gulf Coast, partly to mostly sunny south central Alaska. Chance of some showers developing over the Talkeetna Mountains, otherwise pretty isolated, just variable clouds, and then a little bit better chance of seeing that activity over the eastern Alaska Range on up to just about as far north as Eagle. Otherwise, sunny skies, mild temperatures here, Yukon Valley across the Brooks Range, into the Northwest Valleys again, and probably looking at some low clouds and fog, possibly hugging the coastline a little closer throughout a greater part of the day on Tuesday there for the western Seward Peninsula, Yukon Delta. And generally, though, still an offshore flow, keeping it quite nice over the inland areas, and increasing north or northeast winds there for the Arctic coast. More of a directional change there should bring low clouds and fog in along the coastline and to a certain extent inland. But again, dry easterly flow, keeping it pretty nice there on the west side. And out in the Aleutians, that low center near the central Aleutians, keeping it kind of showery and breezy through the day on Tuesday. Temperatures across the Panhandle, again with the showers. Coolest down in the south, 52 at Klawock, 56 both at Port Alexander and Sitka, with 54 at Elfin Cove. Juneau up to 61, as was Haines today. Skagway 66. Yakutat pushed even warmer up into about 68 degrees, 65 in Valdez. Cordova 62, 60 in Gulkana. Mid-70s in the Susitna Valley to 50s here across the Kenai Peninsula. Interior areas, though, rose into the lower 70s once again. And 58 at Northway, up to 65 at Fairbanks, 67 over at Tanana. and then into the 70s here to the west with McGrath at 73. Up to the north, 50s and 60s, Yukon Valley westward to the Koyukuk, and 55 at Anaktuvuk. Otherwise, the north slope, mid to upper 40s, and those cool easterly winds keeping it down to 32 at Kaktovik, but Point Lay pushed up to 70 degrees this afternoon. Barrow had 37, and there was a 76 at Kelly. And warmer temperatures, actually a place called Quartz Creek here in the central Seward Peninsula rose up to 82 today. Koyuk Airport had 81, 65 there at Nome, 72 at Teller, and a 54, or actually 54 at Tin City, or no, Wales had 54, Teller 72, 37 at Gamble, and mid-70s, in some cases Calskag pushed up to 80 degrees this afternoon. Earlier, Bethel was 62 degrees when those northeast winds kicked in and pushed them over 70. Cooler along the coast, right around 50 here for the Pribilofs, mid-40s for the Aleutians, and mostly in the lower to mid-50s here for the Alaska Peninsula. King Salmon 67, 76 at Kaliganek, one of the warmer locations. And for lows tonight, pretty mild, upper 40s to lower 50s here over the southwest interior, including the Seward Peninsula and the Noatak Valley, with 20s eastern Arctic coast, 30s to the north slope, and near 40 for the Berks Range, but 30s to lower 40s over the eastern interior, 40s to near 50 Copper River Basin, upper 40s and lower 50s for south central Alaska, and 40s for the Panhandle. Highs tomorrow back into the 60s to mid-70s all through the west and even in toward the Tanana Valley over toward Eagle. Possibly pushing 70 again in the Susitna Valley tomorrow, but definitely cooler air coming in behind that trough as it swings through this evening, and upper 50s to near 60 for the Panhandle. Flying weather tomorrow, good VFR over just about all in the interior here. Marginal stuff over the Gulf of Alaska around Kodiak Island, in across the southeast coast, and lots of IFR from the Bering Strait on down through the Bering Sea to the Aleutians. Tomorrow afternoon, whatever IFR is up along the eastern Arctic coast vanishes by the afternoon. Marginal VFR still dominating northern Gulf of Alaska, right along the coast into Prince William Sound, the Barren Islands, and down along the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, with lots of IFR here, trying to make it into the coast, but not quite making it, and extending back into the western Aleutians. Passes, Anaktuvuk, VFR at times, same forecast for Adigan, Lake Clark and Merrill, another VFR day tomorrow and probably Tuesday as well. Windy, VFR, Isabel, VFR, Mintasta, VFR, same forecast for Tanita. Portage, though, VFR becoming marginal in the afternoon. Chilkoot and White looking marginal the entire day. Freezing levels, again, that upper high slipping off to the northwest, and that's where the 10,000 foot freezing levels are going out there. 8,000 feet to 6,000 feet down across the peninsula. 6,000 feet, a little cooler air now coming in over southern Alaska, and roughly about 6,000 feet over the eastern interior and Panhandle. As far as icing goes, mixed above about 6,000 feet here over the northern Panhandle, and with all the showers here mixed above about 6,000 feet. Also here from Cook Inlet westward to the Kuskokwim Mountains into northern Bristol Bay, and for the eastern Aleutians. Big upper high again sliding off to the northwest, and later on in the week or next several days will end up over the Russian Far East. South to north flow in conjunction with this low will begin to pull that moisture into toward the southeast coast tomorrow afternoon and lead to a pretty rainy overnight period tomorrow night and Tuesday, with a trough out over the Aleutians. And 9,000 feet southeast, 15 to 20 off the coast of the Panhandle, but up to 30 knots here over the southwest interior, and northeast 10 to as high as 25 knots over the northern interior, 40 knots southeasterlies right across the Fox Islands. 3,000 feet, same thing, 35 to 40 knot southeasterly winds ahead of that front out in that area. And southeast, you can catch a hint of a wave here rotating westward, so 15 to 30 knot winds with that. Much lighter over the interior, Panhandle, and on up to the north. Turbulence-wise, maybe some light to isolated moderate chop here from the west central interior across southern Seward Peninsula, Norton Sound out to St. Lawrence Island, and from the Kuskokwim Mountains on down across Kamishak Bay to Fognak Island, and the rougher stuff there for the eastern Aleutians out toward Atka And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Deep water moves at a different rate of speed than shallow water. Different depth levels on the same river can change its characteristics, presenting a dangerous situation to the less experienced rafter.
This is what not to do when you fall out of the raft. Never.
To provide for the safest trip, utilize the services of professional whitewater rafting guides who are experienced and understand the characteristics and dynamics of a river. Depending on the river conditions, professional guides will make adjustments in the size of rafts and even the number of people in a raft to ensure your adventure is a safe one. Before venturing on rivers, whitewater enthusiasts should always listen to local National Weather Service broadcasts over NOAA Weather Radio to hear the latest river conditions and weather forecasts. The solitude of an inner world. The allure of exploring wondrous places where few people have ventured. The appreciation of geological formations, and even the fluttering of bats add to the mystique of caving and attract many enthusiasts. But caving has its own inherent risks. Although caves would seem to be far removed from rain and rivers, water hazards do exist here. Most caves are damp or wet, and many have active streams. But even dry caves can flood from rains, and not necessarily from heavy downpours. An all-day drizzle can raise water to dangerous levels, first saturating the ground, and then permeating down between the layers of rock, flooding a cavern with water. Other caves have outside streams, which even under normal weather conditions go directly into a cave. Rising water from rain can flood a cave within minutes. If the stream drains a large area outside, localized thunderstorms that are miles away from the cave can cause it to flood, creating an underground tomb for the unfortunate people trapped inside. Here are some things to remember about caving. Water levels can be low in some sections and high in others. Water levels can rise very fast, but be very slow to recede. There can be a long delay between the time it rains and the time it actually floods. In caves where you go through crawlways or spots with little airspace, it doesn't take much water to cut off your exit. Careful attention must be given to the weather conditions prior to entering the cave. Listen to NOAA Weather Radio before entering a cave. In a lot of situations, when rain or thunderstorms are in the forecast, the safest thing to do is just stay away. Know your caves. Know which caves are subject to flooding and which are not. To avoid drowning, hypothermia, or injury, safety must always come first. With some precaution, cavers can expect a safe adventure. Urban areas have their own flash flood problems. Open storm drains, culverts, and drainage ditches are man-made arroyos and concrete canyons. Found in nearly every community and normally dry throughout the year, storm drains are attractive places for children to play. These seemingly benign ravines are designed to quickly move runoff from excessive rain and rapidly melting snow away from a community. Since this process fills the ravine with water, often with little warning, storm drains and culverts are potentially hazardous areas and no place for children. Sometimes the pull from the fast-moving water is so great, you could easily be pulled into a storm drain.
They were playing in the water, and all of a sudden he disappeared in the sewer.
Just got sucked in.
Just got sucked in. He just disappeared. Was gone. He was there and then gone.
To add to the problem, the increased number of paved streets and parking lots found in sprawling communities do not allow water to soak into the ground. This contributes to rapid urban runoff and storm drain flooding. On a typical city block, impervious surfaces such as pavement and rooftops generate 9 times more runoff than a woodland area of the same size. Don't take chances. Keep yourself and your children away from storm drains. Here's a quick summary to help you remember the main points. Canyons can funnel large amounts of floodwater from great distances with no warning to the unwary hiker. A dry arroyo can quickly become a raging river. River conditions change. When whitewater rafting, know your river. Experience counts. Be knowledgeable of current weather conditions before you enter a cave. Don't allow your children to play in or near storm drains. They can be pulled in and swept away by swift-moving water. Stay informed about current river and weather conditions by listening to NOAA weather radio, commercial radio, and television. Keep in mind that should you need to be rescued, you are also placing someone else's life in danger. Respect the power of moving water.
South to southeasterlies here along the coast, 15 to as high as 20 knots down south. Light southerlies here for the inside waters, just 10 to 15. And then for Tuesday, small craft advisories here for southeast winds on the south coast, easterlies on the north side, and Lynn Canal south 15 in the afternoon, north 15 for Stevens Passage, and southeast 10, pretty light there for Clarence Strait. Prince William Sound, easterlies are variable to east at 10, easterlies 15 to 20 for the North Gulf Coast, small craft advisories there for the Barren Islands, 20 knots for Kamishak Bay, and then southeast 15 here across Kodiak Island, and pretty light winds for Cook Inlet. Then on Tuesday, northeasterlies here, 10 to 15 knots for Cook Inlet, picking up to 25 knots Kamishak Bay, and 30 knots there all around Kodiak Island, including the Barrens. Small craft advisories east-northeast 25 to 30 for the North Gulf Coast, but staying light and variable to northeast up in Prince William Sound. Bristol Bay tomorrow, south 15 knots, southeast 20 to 25 coming across the peninsula with 4 to 6 foot seas. And for Tuesday, even stronger winds in the forecast. Small craft advisories right out of the east there for Bristol Bay. East 30 knots for the peninsula with 8 to 12 foot seas, and from Castle Cape to Sitkinak, northeast at 30 knots. For the Aleutians, 35 to 40 knot east-southeasterlies for the Fox Islands. Then depending on where that low center, if it lifts far enough north, the south side of the islands there will see westerlies at 30, easterlies 40 to the north, and then diminishing northeasterlies on out west. Then that swings around to the northwest, 20 to 25 knots here on Tuesday. North to west, 25 to 30 knots. And southeasterlies, 25 to 35 there for the eastern Aleutians with 10 to 14 foot seas. For the southwest coast, again, kind of a range here, south of Nunivak Island, westerlies at 15, northeast 20, all the way up to St. Lawrence Island, into the northern Bering Sea. East winds 20 knots there for the Pribilofs with 7 foot seas. And looking ahead to Wednesday, look for a big increase in the winds here for the Pribilofs. East 40 knots, seas building to 15 feet. And swell craft advisories here for easterly winds 25 to 30 knots along the entire southwest coast, northeast 30 St. Matthew Island, and for St. Lawrence Island, lighter east at 20 with seas around 5 feet. Up along the Arctic coast, small craft advisories there on the east side, easterlies 25, southeast 20 here for the central coast, and then pretty light northerlies here in the west at about 10 to 15 knots all the way down to the Bering Strait. Then we'll see on Tuesday, northerlies at about 15 out here, turn northeast on the western coast, then back to north at 15 from the central coast all the way east along the Beaufort Sea coastline. And for tonight again, chance of showers and thunderstorms anywhere over south central Alaska tonight from the Susitna Matanuska Valley, across Anchorage down in the Kenai Peninsula, tending to scatter out and taper off here throughout the night to the north. Showers mainly this evening, tapering off over the Panhandle. Rain and wind with this system. Otherwise, fair conditions back to the west and north. For tomorrow, most of this thunderstorm and shower activity shifting to the west there with the upper level trough. High pressure building in along the North Gulf Coast. That should bring cooler air in across much of south central and southern Alaska tomorrow. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, Copper River Basin. Rain approaches the southeast coast, spreads northward tomorrow night, and looks pretty wet there on Tuesday. Not too bad, partly to mostly sunny here, south central Alaska. Some scattered showers up to the northeast here, but a lot of sunshine over the interior again. Rain, Kodiak Island, across the Alaska Peninsula to the Pribilofs, and with that low center in the central Aleutians. Otherwise, a lot of low clouds and fog bearing straight into the northern Bering Sea. Well, that's a look at the weather for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.